The facade of Notre Dame remains, but the heart of the 800-year-old cathedral has been turned to ash. Is there any more fitting metaphor for the state of Western civilization? We will analyze the difference between appearance and reality from Paris all the way to the 2020 presidential primaries. I'm Michael Knowles, and this is The Michael Knowles Show. A brutal news cycle yesterday, watching the Cathedral of Notre Dame burning, the spire falling. There are some silver linings here. Some of it has been saved, but the broader takeaway is not even just about this priceless cathedral, this defining aspect of the West. It's a broader cultural problem. We'll get to it in a second. But first, this is an awkward thing to talk about, but sex, especially within marriage, is one of the crucial aspects of a healthy life. Frankly, one of the main reasons to get out of bed in the morning. Now, sometimes things don't work out like they're supposed to. That's nothing to be ashamed about. That's where our friends at Roman come in. Studies show 70% of guys who experience erectile dysfunction do not get treated for it. Thankfully, Roman created an easy way to get checked out by a doctor and get treated for ED online. Roman is a one-stop shop where you can chat with a licensed U.S. physician who can treat ED and, if safe and appropriate, ship medication right to your door. With Roman, there are no waiting rooms, no awkward face-to-face conversations, and no uncomfortable trips to the pharmacy. Nobody wants to be asking for that sort of thing at the pharmacy. It can be very awkward and uncomfortable. You can handle everything discreetly online. All you have to do is visit getroman.com/Knowles, Knowles, complete an online visit, chat with a doctor, and if the doctor decides it would be safe and appropriate, they will ship genuine medication right to your door in discreet, unmarked packaging. I repeat, discreet and unmarked packaging, so don't worry about it. Go online, get checked by the doctor. Erectile dysfunction is a problem that guys don't tackle with Roman. It's really simple, so take care of it. For a free online visit, go to getroman.com/Knowles, Knowles. That is getroman.com/Knowles for a free online visit, getroman.com/Knowles. So back to the West burning. The Cathedral at Notre Dame caught fire yesterday. We don't know what caused it. We don't know what is going to happen now, how they're going to rebuild, what that could even mean about rebuilding. Ilhan Omar, U.S. freshman congresswoman, tweeted out something that so typifies our culture. I'm actually not going after her because she's defending terrorists this time. I'm not going after her because she's downplaying terrorist attacks. I'm not going after her for the reasons we've been going after her for the past couple of weeks. I'm going after her because, unfortunately, her response to the burning of Notre Dame exemplifies our culture. It shows you just what's wrong with a culture that would let Notre Dame burn. She said, quote, "Art and architecture have a unique ability to help us connect across our differences and bring people together in important ways. Thinking of the people of Paris and praying for every first responder trying to save this wonder." Okay, so she's saying we're thinking of these people in Paris. Do you notice what word was missing? Cathedral. Art and architecture have a unique ability to help us connect across our differences. Sure, I get, is she referring to that painting on the wall behind me, that abstract modern catastrophe? No, she's talking about a cathedral, but she won't say the word cathedral. It's just art and architecture. Thinking of the people of Paris, art and architecture, that's all it is. No, it's more than that. It has meaning. And if you don't think it has meaning, that's the rot in the culture. The rot in now the ruins of Notre Dame is a symbol of the rot in this Western culture. Now, how did it start? We don't know how it started. Officials are apparently ruling out terrorism and arson. This was suggested it might be an act of terrorism or arson, and yet the mainstream media are refusing to even entertain that possibility. Yesterday, Shepard Smith on Fox News shut a guy down within seconds of even raising the possibility.
So, of course, you will hear the story about the political correctness, which will tell you that it's probably an accident.
Sir, we're not going to speculate here of the cause of something which we don't know. If you have
I'm just telling you-
if you have observations or you know something, we would love to hear it.
No, I'm just telling you something. What you need to be ready.
No, sir. We're not doing that here. Not now.
Okay.
Not on my watch.
No, 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 no. La, 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 la. We can't possibly ask why this happened. La, 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 la. Now, why does he bring up the possibility that this was arson or terror? Because there's been a spate of desecrations at churches and cathedrals all throughout France, just in the last weeks. There have been statues smashed, tabernacles knocked down. The tabernacle, for those who don't know, is the box that houses the Blessed Sacrament, the Eucharist, the communion. All of these things. The Eucharist has been desecrated, crosses have been torn down. Just last Sunday at the church of Saint-Sulpice, it was set on fire. That is not as old as Notre Dame, obviously, but it's a very old church. It dates back to the 17th century. Last month, at the Church of St. Nicholas in Huy, France, the statue of the Virgin Mary was smashed. In February, the altar cloth was burned and crosses and statues of saints were smashed at Saint-Alain Cathedral in France. At the Church of Notre Dame des Enfants, that was looted. A cross at that church was smeared with human excrement. Obviously, something is going on at these churches. Something is motivating these attacks. Something is causing people to set churches on fire and desecrate sacraments and statues and altars. But no, 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 we can't no, 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 la, 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 we can't possibly discuss that. Also, why would someone raise the possibility that this was arson or terror? Because of the timing. The Cathedral of Notre Dame burned down on the first day of Holy Week. Holy Week is what begins the time as you lead into Good Friday and to Easter Sunday. And on that Monday, the Cathedral of Notre Dame burns down. So I don't think it's so awful that people are raising questions. But as that gentleman said before Shepard Smith cut him off, it's not politically correct to raise that question. Now, the authorities are saying it doesn't seem as though it was arson, doesn't seem as though it was terror. Okay, I sure would like to know what did cause it. Now, on the bright side, there is a silver lining here. A lot of relics, a lot of artwork was saved from within the cathedral. I mean, there were priceless artifacts in Notre Dame. There's a relic, the crown of thorns that was placed on Christ's head was in Notre Dame. And Father Jean-Marc Fournier, who's the chaplain of the Paris Fire Brigade, he ran into the burning cathedral to save that relic, to save the crown of thorns, and to save the Blessed Sacrament. So to save the Eucharist, the body of Christ. He runs in to save it. There is another relic, a nail from the true cross, the cross on which Christ was crucified. That was saved. Unfortunately, part of the crown of thorns, a piece of it, was stored in the spire. That is believed to have been destroyed when that spire burned down. And although the facade remains apparently structurally intact, the roof completely burned down. The frame of that roof, which dates back to the 12th century, 800-year-old roof, over 800 years old, destroyed. This oak that dates back upwards of 1,000 years, destroyed. And what does Macron say, the leader of France? He says they will rebuild. I hope so. That would be nice. Other conservatives, other Christians, other people in France have called for it to be rebuilt. That would be nice. It would be wonderful to be able to rebuild Notre Dame. But you can't. You can do something. You can try to restore parts of it. You can try to somehow move forward. But you can't rebuild it exactly. First of all, any attempt to rebuild it will take decades. The cathedral took over a century to build. And it won't be the same. It just won't be the same. This is the sad thing. We don't want to acknowledge this in our culture because we think we can replace everything. You break your computer, oh, you can replace that. You drop your iPhone, you get a new iPhone. Oh, we can replace this. We'll rebuild the house. We'll rebuild this. You can't rebuild Notre Dame. Why can't you rebuild Notre Dame? One, we don't really even know how that roof was built. There is so much technical knowledge that has been lost over the centuries. This is hard for us to imagine because we think we're modern and we know everything, and everyone before us was an idiot. We don't know how to build that roof. We don't know exactly what they did. Technical knowledge can be lost. But moreover, it took so long to build that. It took so much commitment. It took such a strength of the Catholic Church. It took such a unity between the church and the state to build Notre Dame. Those don't exist anymore. Western Christendom is such a shadow of its former self. You can't rebuild Notre Dame. This burning is in many ways a symbol of the decay of the faith throughout Europe. Hilaire Belloc, the writer, once said, a famous line, got him in trouble, it was controversial, he said, "The faith is Europe, and Europe is the faith." He's referring to the Catholic faith, Western Christendom. That is what defines Europe. When that cracks, what is Europe? What is left? Then Notre Dame is not a cathedral, it's a museum. To listen to people talk about Notre Dame yesterday, to listen to pundits talk about it, it was as though they were talking about a museum. It was as though they were talking like Ilhan Omar. Art and architecture. Oh no, it's such a loss of art and architecture. It is. But the art and architecture means something. It's not just a museum. It's a cathedral. It is animated by a living faith. And if that faith disappears from Europe, then you just have ruins. You had ruins before it burned to the ground. How can you rebuild that? And if it isn't real, by the way, why would you rebuild it? We'll get to that much harder question in a second. Then we'll get to facades and reality throughout the presidential primary. But first, let's thank our friends over at Purple Mattress. You know how much I love Purple Mattress. You know how upset I am because I'm on the road right now and I don't get to sleep in my Purple Mattress. I have to sleep on that bed, and that bed is terrible in my hotel room. I love Purple so much. I've had back problems my whole life. That Purple mattress, I tried it out. I was a little skeptical because it's firm and soft at the same time. How is that possible? I don't know. It sleeps cool. It's this new technology which is developed by a rocket scientist. It's not an inner spring. It's not quite a memory foam. It's something new. Anyway, I was very skeptical. I tried it out. Within 12 hours, I said, okay, get rid of my old bed. This is what I want. I'm going to recommend this to all of my friends. It's fabulous. You will love Purple. You get a 100-night risk-free trial. If you're not fully satisfied, you can return your mattress for a full refund, backed by a 10-year warranty. Free shipping and returns, free in-home setup, and old mattress removal. You are going to love Purple. Right now, my listeners will get a free Purple pillow with the purchase of a mattress. That's in addition to the great free gifts they're offering site-wide. Just text Knowles, Knowles, to 84888. The only way to get this free pillow is to text Knowles to 84888, Knowles to 84888. Message and data rates may apply. So to hear people talk about it, from Ilhan Omar to other commentators, it is as though Notre Dame is more a museum than a cathedral. Oh, the Catholic faith has been dying in France and Europe for so long. The cathedral itself is a relic of a bygone age that is no longer animated by a true faith. All of those relics inside the cathedral, the crown of thorns, the nail from the true cross, so many others, those are kind of fun little historical oddities. Obviously, it's not the crown of thorns. Obviously, it's not a nail from the true cross. Obviously, it was just gullible, foolish people who thought it was that. But nevertheless, they're historical curiosities. They're part of our history, and therefore, it's a shame if we lose them. We should preserve them because of their history, not because of their intrinsic value, not because of their faith, not because of the faith of Europe. If Notre Dame isn't real, if it isn't about a true faith, if it isn't about Our Lady, Notre Dame means Our Lady, if it isn't about the faith that defined and created Europe, why would we rebuild it? It won't be the original thing. If you want the historical value, that's gone. That's burned down. If it's because you want to look at the facades of Notre Dame, okay, you already have the facades. You can go look at them. If it isn't real, what are you doing? Are you building Disneyland? Well, we don't believe in this, we don't believe in this anymore, but we'll rebuild it because it's a part of France. Is that it? It's just part of our national history. But that The history part is gone. If it's not real, there's no reason to rebuild, and there's no motivation to rebuild. You're creating a husk, you're creating a grotesquerie, you're creating a zombie. Now, if the faith is not dead, and it's never dead, it ebbs and it flows, and there are periods of faithlessness, but it's never dead. If you build it because you believe that it's real, because it's all real, that would be one of the greatest opportunities for the West, certainly in my lifetime, in recent history, to say, we will not allow this to happen. We will not allow not just a building to burn down, but the animating force of our civilization. We will not allow that to burn down. We will rebuild. Because Holy Week isn't just about the crucifixion and death. Holy Week ends happily and joyfully. Holy Week is about the resurrection. If we can say that, then the future of Europe is bright. The future of our civilization is bright. The future of us individually is bright. Can we do that? I'm not so sure. This reminds me of another trend. I just saw this the other day in the San Francisco Gate. It was a headline. The funeral as we know it is becoming a relic, just in time for a death boom. The funeral is becoming a relic. What is replacing it? Something called celebration of life ceremonies. Here's how the article begins. Dana West knows how to throw a fabulous memorial shindig. She hired LA Celebration of Life planner Allison Bossert, yes, those now exist, to create what West dubbed Memorial Palooza for her father Howard in 2016, a few months after his death. At Howard's remembrance, there was a crowd of more than 300 people at Sony Pictures Studios, a hot dog cart from the famed LA stand Pinks, gift bags, the hit being a baseball cap, inscribed with "Life's not fair, get over it," a favorite Howardism. A constellation of speakers with Jerry Seinfeld as the closer. Howard was his personal manager. And Babka, a tribute to a favorite Seinfeld episode. My dad never followed the rules, says West, 56, a Bay Area clinical psychologist. So why would his memorial service? This is the ridiculous consequence of materialism. This is the ridiculous consequence of atheism, the frivolous consequence. And it's so ironic. Is there anything more depressing than a celebration of life ceremony? What are you celebrating? This reminds me of people who, if they're going to go on vacation or if they're going to go on a holiday or something, they insist on being really, really happy. They say, we're going to be happy. Nothing's going to stop us from being happy. And they're gritting their teeth. And you just think, the lady doth protest too much, methinks. Isn't that so? I don't know. You don't seem that happy. The idea here is no one here gets out alive. Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury signifying nothing. We just turn and take a dirt nap, go right down, become worm food. And so, rather than focus on that sadness, that grief that we cannot face, we're no longer socially mature enough to face that. We're going to pretend to have a happy time. We're going to have hot dogs and Jerry Seinfeld. We're going to have gift bags with sardonic expressions on them. Life's not fair, get over it. We're going to call it a memorial palooza instead of a funeral. Now, what is a funeral? Funeral, typically, a little more sober, a little more somber, a little more serious. There's more gravity to it. Why? Because a life has ended. And that's a sad thing. Christ himself, when he goes to visit Lazarus, who he is about to resurrect from the dead, who he is about to bring back to life, his dead friend, when he goes and sees that his friend is dead, he weeps. Even Christ, even the creator of the universe, weeps. Death is a sad thing. To pretend that it's not is absurd. It's a fantasy. You're trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true because you can't face a harsh reality. This is what we do in our culture all the time now. Inconvenient realities we brush away. We say they aren't true. I'm a man who wants to be a woman. Well, okay, I'm not really a man. It isn't true. I'm someone who's pregnant, but I don't want to have a baby. Okay, I'm not really pregnant. That's not really a person. I'm going to get rid of that. That's what we do now. We want to avoid inconvenient realities because we don't have the cultural and ultimately religious apparatus to deal with them. A funeral is a celebration of life ceremony in the truest sense because of the hope of the resurrection. Funerals are filled with grief. We are sad to lose our friends. Death is awful. We are so sad. And yet, there is hope. Hope of the resurrection, hope of heaven, hope of the life of the world to come. And that gives you something to celebrate. What on earth do you celebrate at a celebration of life? The meaninglessness of our existence? The utter tragedy that we are born and we have passions and we accomplish things and we have loves and joys and really they all turn out for naught. It was all just an illusion. Whoops, and we're going to meet the same fate. Ha ha, isn't that awful? I'll have another hot dog. It's not a celebration. It's a false celebration. You're pretending it's a celebration. It's actually despair. But we don't have that apparatus anymore. We don't have that moral, cultural, religious sophistication to say, yes, there is grief, and that grief is real, and it is covering a profound joy. Now we just have a frivolous, fake happiness. Ha ha ha. And by the way, if the grief is a little too much, you'll just take a happy pill. You'll just take some antidepressant drug, as do so many Americans. Prescriptions of those drugs skyrocketing, overprescription skyrocketing. And okay, we'll be happy, happy, ha ha. We'll rebuild Notre Dame. Oh, I hope we can. But we're not going to be able to rebuild it if we don't understand what animates life. You're not going to be able to celebrate life if you don't understand what life is, what life is geared toward, what life means, what death means, what resurrection means. Profound mysteries to contemplate, especially during Holy Week, especially when a world historic event has just happened, the burning down of the Cathedral of Notre Dame. Will we look those realities directly in the face? Will we confront them directly? Or will we look away and pretend, say, no, we'll build another museum, no, we'll celebrate life, pass me another hot dog. What will we do? We think that we're avoiding something difficult. We think that we're setting ourselves up for happiness when we ignore these profound questions and these profound mysteries. We're not. When you look at death, when you look at what built the cathedral, not just the hands, not just the wood, not just the stones and the glass, but what built it spiritually, it reminds me of that C.S. Lewis quote. If you look for truth, you might find comfort in the end. But if you look for comfort, you'll find neither truth nor comfort. Only soft soap and wishful thinking to begin, and in the end, despair. Will we be a culture of ultimate despair, or will we have hope? Look to the ashes of Notre Dame. See if you can see resurrection. We have got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. We've got a lot more to get to. We've got to get to the difference between facade and reality.